Hi everybody, my name is Gerry. This is week 9 of the weekly chat. Yeah, rolling along very nicely. Let's start off. Last week I asked you about your photographic bucket list, and damn, got a lot of responses and some awesome ideas. I'm not going to go there yet because they're still trickling in. So if you missed it last week, check it out. I asked what is on your photographic bucket list. The reason I asked, I'm going to shoot the great white sharks in a couple of weeks, and that's always been one of mine that I think, damn, I need to do this. I mean, we're getting things from Norway, the fjords, lots of African things, Amazon's popping up, a couple of strange ones, cityscapes, homeless people on the street trying to create interpretive portraits thereof. So there's a lot of feedback. I love it. Keep it coming. If you're not sure what this is about, short version is what's on your photographic bucket list. What would you like to shoot that you haven't done yet? You haven't have to have seen it. Where would you like to go and point your camera? More details in last week's chat, week number 8. So, yeah, keep them coming, and then we'll pick up on the bucket list next week with some options and see where, what, and how. For this week, I thought instead of a product review, which we haven't done for a while now because there's been lots happening, I want to look at lenses. Right, this is a Nikon 14 to 24mm wide-angle lens. Awesome, beautiful lens. Canon's equivalent, I think, to this is the 16 to 35, which I've used a little bit in the last while as well. Awesome, absolutely love the lens. It is beautiful for landscapes. We're doing a lot of star photography with it. The 1635 I've also used to shoot these weekly chats. On that, I've been using the Canon 7D for all the video. Right now I've got the Nikon D7000 with a 24 to 70 on there. So just a bit of background. Anyway, lens is wide angle. Wildlife photography still has this stigma, and on a lot of websites, if you look around, everybody's got these monster lenses. There's 400, there's 300, 600s. And I think we sometimes forget about this, the short lenses, the wide angles. The reason is, I think, number one, I mean, when you're sitting with a 600 on a tripod and you're looking at, people admire you immediately because, damn, you must be a good photographer because you've got a big lens. No, doesn't work like that. Look, you feel great. I mean, having how do we say this? The power of a 600 to create images of animals and birds that's in the distance, beautiful, and the background blurring thereof because of the depth of field is phenomenal. But it doesn't make you a better photographer. It actually makes you a lazy photographer if that's the only thing you do, because it's very easy. Oh, sorry, dog's behind me here going crazy. You get lazy if you zoom in all the time. You are allowing the camera now to crop out all the detail which you as the photographer should have taken in, stripped in your mind, and see what you want to focus on. Yes, you are pointing the camera at that. However, when you start using wide angles, like this 14-24 or the Canon 16-35, when you look through the viewfinder, everything's in there. So now it becomes compositionally a bit more of a challenge for you to see how to compose your pictures, how to use leading lines, what to include, what not to include. I've been using this a lot more recently, and I mean, you can tell the difference in your own photography. When you suddenly then put the 200, the 3, 4, 500 on, you think differently because now you've trained yourself better to see what to include in the image and what not to include. Now, often the guideline that we get given is if you're not sure if something belongs in the frame or not, lose it. Don't put it in. So if you're looking through the viewfinder, you need to take that second and just double check everything. Is there a branch that's intruding into the scene? Is the other animal in the background looking the wrong way? Are you going to wait for it? So by taking those decisions, you are not only becoming a better photographer in the process, but you are learning that when you get back to your big wide-angle zoom, your big telephoto zooms, you're going to be better at choosing the moments. Use your wide angles. It is a phenomenal tool. Not just for landscapes. I've shot some beautiful animals with this thing as well, where you've got a wide open scene, one springbuck, for example, and even if it's close by, you can now go and create a beautiful, simple, plain scene with your wide-angle work. The idea as well with these ones is landscapes, obviously, lots of space, macro work. You can get very close with these things and still create depth and perception and create images with this. Telephoto, not so much. Look, don't get me wrong, I'm a huge fan of the big lenses. I mean, chicks dig it. Nah, joke, moving on. It's an amazing thing to have the ability to create images of animals you cannot approach closely. But don't become lazy and only use your big lenses. I mean, if you look at a lot of websites out there who's advertising photographic safaris and tours and whatever, every single image you see is of a guy with a monster lens. Now, if you don't have one, aren't you going to be intimidated and think, I can't go on this? Don't worry about it. Photography is for everybody. You can go on safari just with this lens, and if you think about it as a photographer, you can still make it work. You can create compelling images. Beautiful, beautiful wide-angle work. So, some feedback from last week, let me just put this thing down, is I've got a couple of questions on the Lightroom, and specifically on a blog post I did on Wednesday. I shot a Canon 1D Mark IV at an ISO setting of 12,800. Very, very high, quality superb. I've done a couple of those blog posts with the D3S where looking at how you can now start shooting in low light ability and still get phenomenal quality. I'll put the links under this blog as always. Check it out. One of the comments that came in on that is regarding noise reduction. Right, so we're going to do a quick Lightroom tutorial just on noise reduction. Not going to touch any of the basic adjustments, exposure, contrast and that. Also not sharpening. We have done sharpening in the past, and it does go very closely with noise reduction. But for now, just look at noise reduction in an image, what you can do, how you can do it, and then we'll be right back, right after this. Noise reduction in Lightroom. Here we go. Okay, as requested and discussed, we're going to have a look at noise reduction in Lightroom and how you can remove digital noise from your images. Now, let's start here. The image you see here, there's a before on the left and an after on the right. Initially, not much difference. These are the raw files, no other changes made yet. So, let's look a bit closer. There you start seeing the difference. Let me pull in even closer still. Right. Now, on the left-hand side here, you'll see all these color blotches, green, blue, little red color blotches, and the roughness, the noise. And on the right-hand side, I've removed all of that using just 2 sliders. So, let's open that back up. I'm just going to take this back 2 steps to where they are the same, and let's just confirm. Right, so now we've got the same image here, only working on the one. I'm going to leave it zoomed in because, like we said, you cannot really see and remove digital noise from here because you're either going to go too much or too little. Best idea, zoom in, stay nice and tight, and work it from there. Now, your noise reduction sliders are situated in the detail panel. Click once. You might remember that from the sharpening tutorial we did a little while ago. We're going to not look at this now. A little bit down from there, color and luminance noise reduction. Now, as a suggestion, I would always start with the color noise reduction. It's the most visible effect, and it doesn't degrade the quality of the image that much. Luminance, that really is the monochromatic noise in the image, the roughness, the graininess that we find. So, starting with color, what you want to watch here is the dark areas, but you can see it very prevalent here as well, all the color blotches. So, color slider, grab and hold. As we slide it across, watch the image. I'm going to stop at about 20. Whoa, there we go. Gone already. So, with a little bit of a change here, you've removed all of that color noise from the image. If you look at the full one, not really, you might see a little bit of a difference, but the quality of the image has definitely now been improved. So, moving up to luminance, which is the monochromatic noise, all of the roughness, which is not the image itself. So, all of this here, this little roughness in the eye and that. So, we're going to grab the luminance, and I'm going to overdo it just a touch for you to get an idea. We put it all the way up. You can see it smooths out not only the noise, but the softness, the sharpness of the image as well. What the luminance slider does is it adds almost a Gaussian blur effect over the entire image. Not ideal, because now you are going to lose a bit of quality in the image. It looks a bit soft. What we want to do, bring the luminance slider back a touch, just a little bit. There we go. And then you can still play with the detail slider to bring back a little bit of the contrast on the lines and things like this. So if we look there, that's my image. If we compare it to the original, difficult to see from a full image, but it's when we zoom in, all my noise now has been reduced on this side. Obviously, this will depend a lot on what camera you're using and your settings and so on, but it is a useful thing to know. When you have a little bit of noise and you want to remove it to improve the quality, 2 sliders in the detail panel will help you. Color and luminance noise reduction. Give it a try and shout if you have any questions. We'll take it from there. Okay, get it, got it, good. Easy one. The Lightroom noise reduction in Lightroom 3 is phenomenal. The algorithms or whatever the very clever people did really, really works. So, depending on your ISO setting, the camera you use, it is suggested to do this. So, yeah, if you have any more questions, give me a shout and then we'll pick it up from there. Question I wanted to ask you now for this week. Last week, remember, we looked at bucket list. What do you want to photograph? This week I'm going to ask you, and it's quite an interesting thing for me because this week I started looking at a site called 500 pixels, px.com. Beautiful photo sharing site. They look at, how do we say, presenting the images in a big, bold, beautiful way. A lot of the sites, small, dinky little thumbnails, you click on it, it's a small visual. 500 pixels is a great site for photo sharing. Now my problem comes in, and I don't know if you echo this, is damn, there's a lot of these places out there. I mean, how can alright, so I've got my own site, then you've got a stock site. I've got a stock site as well. Then you put on iStock and Shutterstock and on Facebook and on Twitter and on places like South African, Outdoor Photo. We're looking at, what else? Flickr. So 10 sites for how many images? My question is this: how many sites do you use out there to showcase your image, to share your images? I don't have the time, quite honestly, to go and to process images for each of these different sites, keep on putting them up, but then more than that is to keep on going back and to interact in those communities. Because ultimately, and again, I keep on saying this, what we're doing is creating a community, an online community, a photography community. So it's useless if you are signed up at 50 different stock sites or photo sharing sites or forums, dropping images on all of them, but you cannot go and follow it up. So what's the point then? Are you're almost spamming everybody with your images? Is it not a better option then to maybe have one or two sites that you use and frequent and contribute to, where you can actually grow your own portfolio in such a way that people don't feel you're all over the place? Should you not focus things down a bit? Or, am I incorrect, should you rather be putting your images everywhere and hope people everywhere see it, even if there's not a substantial amount to each of those sites? I don't know. I would personally like to there's about 2 or 3 sites that I've been checking out over the while. I don't want to just dive in and drop my images everywhere because I know I'm not going to get to them later on. So there's a couple of them that I am going to start checking out and getting more involved in. It's a good thing. I mean, you learn from other people, people can learn from you, and that's where you find inspiration as well. So yeah, let me know, how many sites do you frequent and do you put up your images? Do you just have one, your own site, and you want to keep it exclusive? Does it make it exclusive? Or are you bombing it out there? You got a Flickr account, and you just put it everywhere. Let me know. Also, bucket list from last week. Drop me your thoughts on that. Right, I think that's about it. Oh, yes, for the local people in South Africa, yes, this is a Lions jersey. Let's leave it at that. You know the Super 14 in rugby in South Africa, leave it at that. Right, I'm off to Joburg today for a couple of short things. I will see you next week, hopefully with some new images. We are going to do a bit of feedback on the bucket list and see what's out there, what are the possibilities, and if there's some interesting photo sharing sites that comes along in some of the comments, we'll share all of those as well. So, with that, have a great week, take some good pictures, keep on sharing, hook up on Facebook and Twitter, we're all over there. I will see you next time. Enjoy.